Well, an engineer at Facebook has left that company. He says he's fed up with the company's culture. Brian Amerige left Facebook October 12th. He sent a memo explaining why he did to his fellow employees. In the memo, he calls Facebook, quote, a political monoculture, and says it follows a PR strategy of appeasement. Brian Amerige joins us tonight. Brian, thanks a lot for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was brave and nice of you, I thought, to explain why you were leaving. And you say a lot of nice things about Facebook, by the way, we should say, in the memo that you wrote. You call it a monoculture. That's not a surprise to our viewers. What I was struck by is you said, in one of your first lines, you said, we've taken a stance on how to balance offensive and hateful speech with free expression. Now, when Facebook launched, my impression as a user and just someone watching was that free expression was the goal. But that's changed, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's actually been pretty dramatic to watch the shift over the years. And, you know, that's essentially why I'm leaving. You know, I'm leaving because of this content policy direction, which, you know, trying to draw lines around what's acceptable and what's offensive or too offensive, you know, I think it's dangerous and it's impractical. You know, it's impossible to define what something like hate speech is, and it's even harder to implement it and enforce it sort of at Facebook scale. And to your point, like, you know, this is core to what the mission of the company is. You know, I think it's this huge strategic misstep for a company whose product's primary value is to promote free expression, is trying to draw these lines.
But it also changes, as you just noted, what Facebook is fundamentally. I mean, my understanding that even as a legal matter, Facebook is a platform, it's a conduit through which or over which information flows. Once you start deciding what's acceptable or not, you're a media company, aren't you?
You know, I think it's an interesting question. You know, people come to Facebook for all sorts of reasons. You know, speaking as an employee on the inside, I've always thought about it as a tool for free expression, and I supported the mission as a tool for free expression. So, you know, from that point of view, you know, us trying to draw those, you know, impossible to draw lines around what's acceptable is a losing strategy.
Why are they doing that? I mean, it's fraught with peril. It's obvious. You just said it. And I actually think Congress could bite back because they're doing it, but they're doing it anyway. So why?
Well, you know, it's hard to imbue intent to anybody on these things. Yeah, I wouldn't pretend to be able to put myself in their shoes. You know, what I can say, though, is that, you know, executives at the company do actually take the sort of assertions and claims that I've made very seriously. And you know, they didn't fire me. They engaged me, and I actually spent like the better part of the last month working with them to figure out how to improve this stuff. Now, there's a really big distinction, though, between how those executives are handling this and what a vocal minority inside the company is doing. And there is a vocal minority inside Facebook that is belligerent beyond belief in a quest, I think, to implement social justice policies, you know, across our mission, basically.
Give me one example of that, if you would.
Yeah, I mean, I think like just looking at the way the hate speech policy is implemented, like on the platform, you know, you can't even have conversations about that policy inside the company without having your character attacked. And I've experienced this personally, without being called a sexist or a racist or a transphobe or an Islamophobe. Like you can't have conversations about those kinds of, you know, anything that's a tenet of the social justice ideology, effectively, without being attacked personally. And you know, the real concerning thing that's happening here is that, you know, even though this is a minority of employees in the company, unfortunately, I'm not sure that Facebook leadership knows how to push back against them. Right. And like I said, they're unbelievably belligerent, demanding, and hostile, not just toward other employees, but toward the Facebook leadership directly. You know, my real concern is whether they can push back.
Because everybody's terrified in this country. That's actually the lesson of this and so many things. Thank you very much for this and for your bravery, and I hope that you go on to something much better and more lucrative. Thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you, Tucker.